Hey cats, it's EDDBUD, your midsole man here. It's time for another dose of running news. Lots of stories to get through. We had a boiling hot Boston and a somewhat warm London marathon to talk about. I think the heat certainly got to the designers over at Nike. They unveiled some quite frankly bizarre computer-generated AI designs of shoes for the future. But fortunately, bringing us back down to earth, we've got some recent running shoe releases to talk about as well. Running news, let's get to it. Thanks for tuning in, people. It is always appreciated. Hit that subscribe button, but also give us a thumbs up like too, and comment for the algorithm. Dankeschön. We got to talk about the recent Boston and London marathons first. Both of those had some quite dramatic weather conditions, really. I mean, I'm not talking way outside of the averages, but it was pretty tough going on both of those events. Got to talk about that London marathon first. An amazing finish from Perez Chepchirchir, who has now won the Boston, New York and London marathons. I think she was third last year, but she won this year with a fantastic time. In fact, it's a new women's only world record time, 2 hours 16:16, though pending ratification, of course. It's always a bit sad they have to put that afterwards. It's like, yeah, you got a new world record, but we got to absolutely double check it first. So bit like VAR, I suppose. Superb run and a real push at the finish there to easily grab the crown. Very impressive running all round from the 30-year-old, and it makes me feel like there's still hope for EDDBUD yet on the marathon distance. We also saw an incredible Masters world record as well from Bekele, 2 hours 4 minutes and 15 seconds. Just goes to show with some consistency there and the ability to train and keep away from injury, Bekele is still a serious contender. 41 years old, and maybe there's a chance there that he can do some serious work over at the Olympics this year. Let's hope that they do grant him a place and get him over there, because he's one of the masters, isn't he? He's one of the legends, and that's the type of people we want to see. Only 14 seconds ahead of him was the winner, Munyao of Kenya, with a time of 2 hours 4 minutes and 1 second. A superb effort also from the British athletes in third and fourth position. Maybe they were inspired because they were on like home turf or something. Did you run London Marathon? Did you get in? How did you get on? Did you get lucky and get a ballot spot, or perhaps you ran for charity, or you got a good for age place? Let me know your thoughts on the London Marathon down in the comments. Over in Boston the previous week, the weather did cause a few problems for the athletes out there. I think the max temperature recorded on that day was about 19 C, which is pretty high really for that time of year. I think in comparison to like 2023 when I was over there, it was about like 9 C at the start. It was 13 centigrade at the start of the race this year. I recall there was like misty, light rain. It was actually quite fresh on the morning, but it couldn't really have been any different in 2024. I think there were quite a few runners that had to seek sort of medical attention stuff due to the heat. They just simply couldn't handle it. I think it was 22 centigrade in 2017, and then like only 6 centigrade at the start on 2018. So you can see that it does really fluctuate. For Boston, you never quite know what you're going to get. I think when you couple that with the tough undulating nature of the course, it's one that really needs some staying power. Helen Obiri, of course, defending her title from last year with a finish of 2 hours 22:37, sporting some rather interesting shoes from On. They almost look like a boot or like a laceless mid-top basketball shoe. I'm sure we're going to hear more about that one in the coming months. The men's title could have been record-breaking, but a top 10th fastest ever finish of 2:06:17 from Lemma, really digging in to ensure victory. I believe the commentator at one point mentioned that I think he was about half a mile ahead of the pack at one stage, but I think the second half of the race was really tough. He did mention that in his post-race interview. I mean, if he's finding it tough with, a sort of more moderate kind of heat, he's Ethiopian. What's the sort of average mean temperature over there? Well, just having a look here, apparently the mean average temps there in the lowlands are about 25 to 30 C. So that just goes to show how difficult warmer weather can make running a marathon. It's one of those things that I always find difficulty with when the temperatures start to increase. I just find it so much harder to hit those top paces I would normally do in training, though buying a treadmill and then running with the radiators on in the conservatory is the way to overcome that. Don't do that at home, by the way. No pun intended. Moving on now from the marathons to Nike, they've been doing some really bizarre stuff, getting poor old Kipchoge to do some really strange things. I mean, this is like a legendary marathon runner, one of the best athletes out there, and they've got him dressed up like an extra from a reimagining of the film Blade. Then they've got these bizarre mock-ups of future shoes. They've used AI and like ideas to generate these shoes and the images. I mean, check out this special Kipchoge-inspired future marathon shoe. It's got like a massive air unit that looks like it's made of marmalade in the fourth area and like no foam at all under the heel. Does look a little bit like some sort of springboard or something, and they've taken some bits from a watering can or maybe like an ice skate and incorporated those in there. It really is absolutely bizarre. Not quite as bizarre as the gear that they had Kipchoge wearing in that unveiling of all of this. It's obviously better to spend loads and loads of time and money developing these super special unwearable shoes than focusing on their core running lineup. You know, make a few more Jordan 1s that you can send out to the outlets that nobody wants. You know, that's not going to stop yourself from having to cut 2% of your workforce and make loads of people redundant, is it? They're apparently looking to save 1.6 billion over the next 3 years. No shoe design rethinks are going to really help you do that. The only shoe that looked vaguely wearable or achievable really within all of this unveiling was the Victor Wembanyama basketball option. That looks to be somewhat like a shoe that a human could wear, though it's a big leap from the current Victor Wembanyama signature shoe, the extraterrestrial model here, so no pun intended. Let's get back down to earth now and talk about some of the recent or very soon to occur running shoe releases. Adidas have released a bunch of their Adizero lineup in a predominantly black colourway with some hits of white and orange. You got a PRIMEX 2 STRUN here. I really quite like the look of that one actually. The others are all a little bit muted really, a little bit boring. There's a Takumi Sen 10 and of course another colourway of the Adios Pro 3. We seem to have had hundreds of those. I wonder how many there have been. I might actually go and try and tot them all up, see how many there's actually been released over the last couple of years. At least I suppose you've got a more winterized version of your favourite Adizero model this time around. If you don't like the bright white and neon sort of versions they always released, they're on sale, you can pick one of these up, but quite a few of these shoes are near to the end of their sort of life cycle now, so be warned. Only a few weeks back, Puma released a load of their Puma running shoes in the same colourway. I mean, that's a real coincidence, isn't it? The two big European brands coming up with the same plan for their lineup. The MAGNIFY NITRO 2 here in the updated Upper Tech version looks like a nice colourway actually, just not quite so dull. It's a little bit more pop to these than the Adidas ones. The Fuel Cell Super Comp Elite 4 is set to come out in a new colourway. It's predominantly white. Reminds me of the On Cloud Boom Echo 3 that they dropped last year. I think that this new version of the Elite V4 could be out in the next few weeks. A little bit more appealing than the previous ones, though will it be enough for me to pick up a pair for 259 quid here in the UK? I mean, I reviewed that Rebel 4 because the viewers wanted to see it, though I don't think I've seen enough in the Rebel 4 to drop 259 quid. Apparently the upper's exactly the same, so I'll just have the same problem, so what do you think I should do? Let me know in the comments. Last but not least, the Hoka Skyward X has finally dropped over in the US. I'm not sure why there's been such a hold up. It's been out in the UK for quite some time now. The max cushion and plated option here. It's more like a recovery or long range trainer. Kind of interesting model really. It's in a very specific niche position for Hoka. You can check out my review on that one and some comparisons on the links at the end of this video. Okay, that's all the running shoe news for the moment. If you spot any cool stories, let me know in the email in the description of this video. Musical interlude for you. I'm really excited for the release of the new Bernard Butler album. I think that drops the end of May. The album's called Good Grief, but he has released another track from that album called Deep Emotions. It's some beautiful, nice, subtle acoustic guitar playing right at the start in the intro, and later on some sneaky like electric guitars. Quite bluesy, some really beautiful touch on those guitars as well, some lovely vibrato. I love Bernard Butler's sort of more mature voice he has now. It's a little bit more gruff, there's a little bit more earthy sort of tone to it. and the production on both of the tracks that have been released so far for the album is really nice. It's warm, open and airy. It's all the things I used to love about his stuff that he released in the late 90s, in fact, and everything after that. It certainly has some hints of his recent album and collaborations that he's done with Jesse Buckley. Go and check this one out. I think it's over on some of the streaming sites now. It's certainly on Apple Music. Good Grief is the name of the album, and Deep Emotions is the track from Bernard Butler. Thanks for tuning in, people. It is always appreciated. Help us to get to 1 million subscribers by hitting that button below. It's free of charge, don't you know? Also, give this video a thumbs up like and share it with your running buddies. Drop us a comment for the algorithm too. My name's EDDBUD, and I'll be seeing you